HP. Thinkers are great, but doers change the world.
The harmful effects of carbon dioxide emissions on our environment are now well known. While cars and coal plants are major polluters, buildings account for almost 40% of all emissions in the U.S. Concrete is a main ingredient in these buildings, as well as in highways, dams, and bridges. And one innovator is transforming this crucial building material from a climate problem to a clean technology solution.
If there is a concrete shortage, the economy does stop. All building projects come to a halt.
Concrete is a mixture of cement, water, and other materials like sand and gravel, known as aggregates. Portland cement, the most popular kind, is a fine powder made from minerals like limestone and clay. And the production of concrete is an energy-intensive process with substantial environmental impacts.
One is the emissions from the production of the Portland cement. And that's the principal source of CO2. One aspect, which is largely overlooked, is the amount of material that must be mined. We always think of the mining of coal as a big problem, but really it's quite small compared to the amount of environmental impact from the mining of aggregate.
Scientist and CEO Brent Constance wants to reverse that environmental impact. His California-based company, Calera, is experimenting with an innovative way to produce concrete that radically reduces its carbon footprint. And his inspiration comes from an unlikely source in nature, coral reefs. Constance has studied the formation of reefs since the 1980s.
I was studying coral growth and noted how remarkably rapid it was.
Marine organisms in coral use the CO2 and calcium in the ocean to create skeletons made of limestone, a calcium carbonate material. These skeletons are the basis of the reefs we see in the ocean. The coral may look delicate, but it possesses many of the same mineral components as bones and teeth.
I thought, gee, if we could simulate coral growth in the spines of these little old ladies that are breaking their hips, that would be a wonderful approach.
Constance developed a fast-setting bone cement that heals fractures quickly.
That cement is in every operating room in the world today that does orthopedic surgery.
His latest project deals with cement on a much larger scale, but the idea still comes back to nature. Just as coral uses CO2 to build its limestone skeleton, Constance wants to follow a similar process to produce limestone for concrete, and his new idea has appealed to some important investors.
He was taking a waste that was a problem for other people and turning it into a product.
Venture capitalist and Sun Microsystems founder Vinod Khosla has spent the last several years investing in companies he thinks will be game changers in clean technology.
Brent was thinking about the carbon dioxide problem differently. So while everybody thought carbon dioxide was a problem, Brent said, hey, to me it's a feedstock to produce building materials. Just a beautiful idea. I fall in love with it. I get really excited by neat ideas like that.
Since 2007, the company has grown to 120 employees and has opened this R&D facility.
We do R&D on a very grand scale. It's right next door to the largest power plant on the West Coast.
Dynegy's natural gas-fueled power plant emits what's known as flue gas that Calera can convert into limestone.
It's sort of like a car wash where we're putting a lot of seawater in contact with a lot of flue gas very quickly.
The CO2 is absorbed in the water and sequestered in a mineral form.
It's really going to revolutionize an entire industry.
And from this limestone, Calera creates concrete samples, which they test in another facility.
One of the critical tests you use for testing concrete is compressive strength, which means you test it to the point and put it under pressure to the point it fails and actually breaks apart.
Calera hopes to set up facilities next to power plants around the world, take their emissions and convert them to concrete, thereby reducing the footprint of both the power plant and the concrete industry.
We're not only mitigating the CO2 that would have gone into the sky from the combustion of fossil fuel, but for every ton of Portland cement we're not using, we're avoiding a ton of CO2 that would have gone into the atmosphere.
Some critics charge that Calera's process could create harmful byproducts like hydrochloric acid. Others doubt that the process is scalable because it requires more complex ingredients than just CO2 and seawater. Calera sticks by its science and says that many of its patents are published, although other elements are proprietary. For his part, Constance sees his model as a solution that could spread far and wide.
We need a solution that will be infectious, that people will adopt everywhere. And what will be adopted everywhere is something that's profitable, like selling cement or selling aggregate. Something the Chinese will do. It has to pass what we call the Chindia test. It has to be adopted in China and India, or it's not going to make any difference.
It's very unlikely this is going to come from big companies. Almost all innovation will come from small companies and great innovators working independently, and almost always the first answer will be, it can't be done, they're crazy.
Coming up next.
This animal, this reptile right here, is an ambassador, a flagship, if you will, of biomimicry.